Week 125, and our final project investigates the relationship between alcohol consumption and academic performance in students, with a focus on whether heavier drinking is associated with lower grades. Across our 3 datasets, we found that most students reported lower to moderate alcohol use with higher consumption on the weekends. Heavier weekend drinking and more frequent going out are modestly associated with lower final grades, but these effects are smaller than those of prior performance, study time, and absences. Our data is observational and self-reported, so we cannot draw causal conclusions, but our findings support prior literature. Our research question is, does higher overall alcohol consumption significantly reduce high school and college students' GPA? Our background research found that frequent or heavy drinking is associated with lower GPAs, reduced study time, and increased class absences. We also found that binge drinking and underage alcohol consumption is still prevalent among young students, which can lead to long-term academic and health consequences, as well as peer environments playing an important role in influencing drinking behavior, which leads us to our hypothesis, which is that there is a positive correlation between alcohol consumption and a negative effect on high school and college students' GPA.
Alright, we begin with the exploratory data analysis for dataset 1. The variables we analyzed were quantity of alcohol consumption, an ordinal scale of 1 to 5, which we used to plot a histogram. We saw weekends where the real world phenomenon of college students going up, while weekday alcohol consumption was not that much. In general, alcohol consumption trended to low to moderate. However, there were some outlier cases. We took a more holistic approach with regards to our EDA, and we wanted to see the correlation between behaviors, alcohol consumption, and grades. It turns out that study time and absences were the 2 leading coefficients in determining how a student's performance was the academic year, while a student's study time and absences, however, is directly correlated with their daily and weekly alcohol consumptions. We also saw the trend of grades throughout the year in order to understand if students performed worse or better throughout the year, and it turns out they performed better as the year went on with a linear growth curve. With this being said, our data was sampled from a Portuguese population which might have a self-reporting bias. Not having a quantitative measure of the exact amounts of alcohol could potentially affect results. We can effectively conclude, however, students who minimize weekday alcohol consumptions are consistent with their studies, perform better.
Hi, my name is Justin. I'm going to be doing the data analysis for dataset 2. So, this box plot shows how often students go out socially compared to their final grades. Students who go out less frequently tend to have higher and more consistent grades. As going out frequency increases, median grades generally decrease and the spread becomes wider, suggesting more academic risk. Overall, this indicates a negative relationship between frequent social activity and academic performance. This box plot over here shows the relationship between weekend alcohol consumption and final grades. Students with low to moderate drinking levels tend to have higher and more stable grades. As weekend alcohol use increases, median grades tend to drop and variability increases. This suggests that heavier weekend drinking is associated with poorer academic performance, likely due to fatigue, reduced study time, or other lifestyle factors.
Hi, I'm Zach. I was responsible for dataset number 3, and here are some of my findings. Male students consistently show higher and more variable alcohol intensity than female students. Students who study fewer hours per week tend to drink more heavily. Earlier year students, so freshman and sophomore year students, tend to drink more than upper year and postgraduate students. Another finding was partying dropped sharply as the number of study hours increased, indicating a strong inverse pattern. And another finding is alcohol intensity is closely tied to missing more classes due to drinking, which is pretty obvious because students who are hungover are far less likely to attend class the next day.
During our data gathering and implementation into our project, our informed consent, collection bias, limit PII exposure, data security, missing perspectives, dataset bias, and privacy and analysis. And what we found is that heavier weekend drinking and more frequent going out are associated with somewhat lower final grades, but the size of these effects is modest. In the bigger picture, the relationship between alcohol and grades is embedded in a wider lifestyle and social context. Drinking is tied to going out, social life, and possibly personality traits like sensation seeking, all of which may interact with how much time and energy a student has left for studying. In our future work, we would like to work with broader and more diverse samples, richer and more precise measures of alcohol use, and more rigorous modeling. Thank you.